Yeah, I mean, NIL is, I mean, it's new to us. Like, how is it for you, like, looking at athletes, like who you want to work with and stuff like that? Like, what do you look for?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's interesting because, one of the things that most young athletes don't understand is that who brands want to work with isn't necessarily tied to number of followers, right? It's mostly tied to like authenticity.
Yo, it's Noah.
It's TMAC,
We in the desert with it.
but we still on island time. Welcome back to another episode. If y'all haven't already, make sure y'all tune into the previous episodes on iHeartRadio and YouTube on Up On Game Network. So let's dive right into it.
We say we're in the desert with it, but today's a special episode because we're back home. We're on the West Coast, about a 2-minute walk from Huntington Beach. So we got the month of May off from football. Got to leave Tucson for a little bit, and we're in California, back in our hometown. And for the next couple of days, we got a special event going on.
So for the next 3 days, we're here in Huntington Beach on the Complete Athlete Retreat with the Complete Athlete family. We're basically here to learn more about NIL deals and learn how to build our brand and become more marketable for our sponsors.
Speaking of sponsors, we got a huge shout out to Oaza. They're the bridge between energy drinks and coffee, and they are the first company to infuse electrolytes into coffee and caffeine drinks. So we got a special guest, and we'll bring them on the next segment. All right, so for this next segment, we got a very special guest, the Chief Revenue Officer of Oaza Cold Brew, Mr. Alvie Loreto. We appreciate you coming on and appreciate you supporting this podcast. And before we jump into it, can you give us a little background on yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. First off, it's great to be here back in Orange County. I'm from here as well. I'm a Survive guy like these gentlemen here, so it's always great to be back with the Survive family. And it's great to be doing this for AAPI month, Asian American Pacific Islander month, because I'm an Islander as well, like these guys. So it's just awesome to be here and to be part of this and to be part of the whole Complete Athlete retreat, trying to help these guys out to help build their brand.
We appreciate it. So you say you're Pacific Islander?
Yeah. So my parents are Filipino, both of them. I was born here in the States, here in California. So I've always been proud of my Islander roots.
Yes,
I always have that chill vibe being here from Orange County too. So it's just it's really cool to just be a part of that community around here, and especially see you guys play in high school. You guys made the whole Islander community proud with and not just your laid back vibe, but also how intense you guys were on the field. So appreciate that.
Filipino. Cousins?
Uncle.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, uncle.
We appreciate that, though. You say you're a Servite alum?
Yeah.
What years were you over at Servite?
So I was there from 95 to 97. I played ball too, played football and baseball. We had some good teams there, definitely not as good as your team or some of the legendary teams. But, we won a few games, played in a few wars here in Orange County with a lot of guys who ended up going to the NFL. So, it's just always proud to be a Survive football guy.
Before we came on camera, you was telling us about your glory day.
Yeah, I mean, I say the biggest thing that happened to me in high school. I mean, I played against Deshaun Foster, went to UCLA. He laid me out pretty good, and we had a good laugh about it on film. And then I also played against Carson Palmer. I was lucky enough, we played them my senior year. Carson was a junior, and I was lucky enough to pick him off twice in one game. He had a great game, but I was able to get the best of him. So, but I'm a USC alum. I mean, I know you guys are Arizona guys, but I always cheer for Carson because he's one of us there. So.
Where did Carson go to high school?
Yeah, he went to USC, and he went to Santa Margarita.
Santa Margarita.
Yeah.
Santa Margarita?
What league were y'all in when you were playing?
So back then we were in the Golden West League, and we had been in a Division I league. They dropped us down, and we actually had a lot of guys who ended up playing D1 college, but we were in a smaller league, so we did pretty well in that league, and Carson was in that league too. Deshaun, like these were all, Division V was a pretty big league there. Like it had a lot of public schools in it that had used to be D1 back in the 80s and 90s. So it was still very competitive, not like the Trinity League, but still very competitive.
Golden Wesley, like, what teams are in now?
So back then, I don't know who's in the Golden West League now, but back then it was Tustin, Westminster, Santa Ana, and then our off league or our non-league schedule was stacked with all like Fountain Valley, Santa Margarita. These were all D1 teams like 5 years before. So there's a lot of talent there. I mean, it's not like nowadays where like you see the talent concentrated, in the Trinity League and some of the other, D1 leagues. So, it was still very challenging, but obviously the game's different these days with the way you guys train year round. So.
Was there a Trinity League back then?
No, there wasn't. Little history lesson. There was the Angeles League back in the 80s and 90s. That was the big Catholic school league. Okay. A lot of the schools in that league ended up being in the Trinity League like 30 years later. That was the closest thing they had to the Trinity League.
That was like modern day in there?
Yeah, that was with Mater Dei, St. Paul, Loyola out in Los Angeles. So it was spread all out throughout Southern California.
Were y'all a rivalry? Was Servite Mater Dei a rivalry yet?
Since I've been a rivalry since the 60s and
Really?
70s. Yeah.
Oh, y'all played each other even in your years?
Yeah. Our league, Mater Dei was the one game we play. I mean, we play them every year from like 1970 until now, right? That's our biggest rivalry. Always has been. So
it was more competitive back then.
Nah, I'm not as competitive as you guys were, man. Like Mater Dei had some talent, and they're well coached like everything else. But they just had a concentration of talent and good coaches back then. And it's funny because I went to Mater Dei my freshman year, ended up transferring over to Servite, so I got to kind of see both sides of it. So it's funny because it's a big rivalry, but it's actually the two schools have more in common than you think in terms of how the program is run and how they build talent and how they work with the Catholic schools in Orange County. So, it's like a rivalry, but it's also.
Rollo was still coaching there?
Rollo was still coaching,
Rollo
man.
was crazy.
Still.
That's crazy. I guess we all got something in common, huh?
For
we
sure.
all defeated versus Mater Dei.
You didn't beat Mater Dei?
Nah, man.
No way.
We don't say too much, though. We can talk about the rivalry all we want, but at the end of the day, it might not be a rivalry.
Nah, when we were there, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Nah, but after you graduated from Servite, you ended up going to USC first. Or you went to MIT.
I went to MIT after that. Played ball, Division III. I was, obviously being Filipino, we ain't blessed with the height gene, unfortunately. But I wanted to keep playing. I got some offers from 1AA schools, Penn, Princeton, some small schools. I ended up going to MIT because I wanted to be in a big city. I want to get as far away from Orange County as possible for college. Like get some breathing room, check out a new part of the country. I think those are all valuable educational experiences, not just the football part, but like seeing another part of the country. And I think you guys are doing that as well at Arizona. So I did that, played some ball there. Ended up then obviously there's no future in ball for me. So it was just about, realizing like getting into academics and trying to get my grades straight, and then, just turning into a normal college student and recruiting for jobs and growing up, man.
MIT had a football program?
Yeah, they still do. Actually, 6 years ago, they made the D3, the semifinals of D3. It's interesting because a lot of people think that, like, because of the academic reputation of the school, that the football team isn't that good, but it's one of the few football schools in the area in their league that draw talent from all over the country because of their academic reputation. So you actually have guys from California, Texas, Florida, all playing for that team. And these are guys who could have played D1 if they stayed, D1 or 2 if they stayed in their state, but they wanted to get that education. So, it's not that bad of a program for how small it is, but, it's just there are no resources dedicated to athletics at that school. It's like everything is about the academics. So.
How was the academics? It was rough?
It was rough because of the challenge that I had, like, away from the field. Like I always looked at football as like a time to like kind of refocus and get in touch with my personality, because academics was so hard at that school, right? Like, and I know you guys, being where you guys are at, your focus is football for a lot of the year, and you guys got your scholarships and everything, and then you have your class, and it's probably, I don't know if you have the equal balance. You have to try to find the balance, right? Like, and for us, it was like 95% academics, 5% sports. And the sports was just my release when I was too stressed out about academics. So it's just weird thinking of football like that, but football was one of those things that always kept me grounded and kept me sane. And, I always look at it for all the life lessons it taught me away from the field. So.
What did you end up majoring in at MIT?
So I majored in mechanical engineering.
Oh, wow.
Why that? Like,
so I was always good at math and science, and so like I
That's
decided
your Filipino
to.
side, huh?
Yeah, I just I was always a numbers guy, man. Like, and so like I stuck with that. The thing is, like, my junior year I started hating engineering, so it's like I was in this major and I didn't like it anymore. So, but I figured since I was already in it, I'd finish that out, and then once I graduated, I would look for other opportunities away from engineering. But that happens a lot when you're in college. It's like you're doing something and you thought you would like it, and then you get into it and you might not like it anymore. But there's always kind of that opportunity to try other things, and I think that's what you really want to do, take advantage of your undergrad curriculum, because you should try to learn a bunch of different things and try to find something you really like, and it's usually not going to be the first or even second thing that you try out. So
I mean, look at you now. You're working with caffeine and electrolytes.
yeah, no,
I'm
it's,
doing mechanical engineering, I guess, huh?
yeah. I mean, I always saw myself as a people person. You know, like, it's funny because I was good at numbers, but I always loved interacting with people. And so even now, like with what I do for work, like I work a lot with just opportunities like this, meeting new people, getting the brand in front of people, getting them to try it, and you know, trying to kind of sell people on something. And I think that's what you guys are, you know, trying to do with this complete athlete retreat is, you know, you guys got this skill that makes people pay attention, like you get it done on the field. And now you guys are trying to figure out, okay, I've got this fame, this notoriety tied to that. How can I utilize that to become a better businessman, to become a better student, to become a better, you know, whatever it is off the field, right? Like, and this whole retreat that's allowing you guys to get educated by sponsors like us and by people who have kind of gone that route is like, how do you guys use that? How do you guys become better at this stuff? How do you see things from another perspective, the brand's perspective? What are they looking for in college students? What do they like the most about you? And it might not even be like, I can tell you, it might not even be about what you do on the field, even though that's a very, very important thing. You know, like this podcast is an example. You guys, you know, like you guys are good friends. You guys, you know, like it's just fun watching you guys bounce ideas off of each other. And there's like this genuine kind of feeling when you guys are just chatting. You guys, when you go off script, that's when you guys are the most interesting. And I think that's what brands are really looking for, that authenticity, you know, that authenticity and that like these athletes, even though they're superior athletes, they're just like us, you know. They have moments where they're just like us, and I think that's what, like, why brands I think are going to want to work with you. And it's just all you guys need to do is learn a little bit more about like the business world, the business side of things, and you know how to make that more lucrative for your own personal brands.
Yeah, I mean, NIL is, I mean, it's new to us. Like, how is it for you? Like, you know, looking at athletes, like who you want to work with and stuff like that. Like, what do you look for?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's interesting because, you know, one of the things that most young athletes don't understand is that who brands want to work with isn't necessarily tied to number of followers, right? It's mostly tied to like authenticity. Now, like, and whether this particular spokesman for the brand looks like they really understand the brand and will like use it in their day-to-day life. For us, like, our brand, it's a very young, emerging brand. We just launched in 2020, but we separated our target customer into 3 buckets. And, you know, one of them is early risers. One of them is college athletes, like college students, and then in general athletes. And another bucket is sort of like young professionals, people who are just graduated from college, starting out in the workforce, and they just need that caffeine because they're jumping up from senior year of not doing any work to first year at a company working 60 hours a week, right? So we separated into those 3 buckets, and then right here we're focusing on college, and I think NIL is a great opportunity for us to do that. You know, our product is, so it's basically cold brew coffee infused with electrolytes, right? And what we found out through working with scientists is that people use caffeine to like stay awake. You guys are probably familiar with that. I know a lot of younger people drink energy drinks because they like the flavors and whatnot. But this is a fusion between coffee and energy drink. It has very low sugar, and so the sugar is what makes you crash after you drink caffeine for like 3-4 hours, and then you just feel like you get tired right away and you fall off a cliff. Like, this doesn't have sugar, even though it has like a sweet flavor in the form of monk fruit, which is a pretty innovative sweetener. So it actually allows you, when you get that caffeine buzz, it allows it to last longer. Like, we're talking 6 to 8 hours. And so for a college student, it's like, you guys may get to practice, you know, 2-3 hours of practice, or maybe you work out in the morning, but your day ain't done after that, right? You got 3 hours of class, or you got 2 hours of studying, or you got film, and like you're gonna have 10 to 12 hour days on campus, right? And so you want to look for something that has a cleaner energy, less sugar. You're getting if you're gonna do caffeine, you get it from a low sugar source, and that'll keep your energy level going longer. So that's why we feel like this is a good fit for college students, and we want to use athletes like yourselves and in the NIL program to try to get the word out about our product?
I mean, before we came on, we were talking about NIL. You said that you guys were already working with some people. How's the whole NIL process from your point of view instead of the athletes?
Yeah, no, that's a good question, man. You know what? It's actually really evolving right now. I mean, it's the Wild West. And I used to be a professional sports agent, and I would negotiate marketing deals for clients. It was mostly in the baseball space, but we worked with a few basketball and football players too, and this was like 10 years ago. So I understand like marketing deals and how they relate to athletes, but NIL is totally new, and the college athlete is a different breed than a professional athlete, right? Because college athletes have way more requirements for their day than just sports, right? You guys got to get it done in the classroom. There's a lot of things that the campus is asking of you to do, and so it's a little bit different. The rules are different. The rules are still evolving. There's some legislation, new legislation in California and other states where they're trying to kind of adjust the rules of NIL. And so like there's a lot going on right now at the top level, and it's good for you guys to have good advisors for your the complete athlete team and its leadership. They seem like they really understand the NIL space, and they're ahead of it compared to most agencies I've talked to. And so like we're all figuring out as we go. We're trying to find opportunities for athletes like that work out for their schedule and work out within the rules, the current rules, but just know that the rules are changing right now. So we may not have all the answers yet, but we're still trying to get value for you guys. And, as long as we keep that like communication open, I think that, your advisor is going to find the best value for you guys.
And you were talking about how you majored in mechanical engineering and now you're in business. So like speak about business, like what made you want to get into that? Like, how's it going?
Yeah, absolutely, man. Like, so I work a corporate job for 10 years, and it was great. Like, it was a great experience to start off my career working in a corporate job, moving up the ladder. But I kind of realized that I wasn't passionate about that. I wasn't passionate about like, clocking in a 40-hour work week and, getting a check every 2 weeks and that predictability. And if I wanted to apply myself and work 60 hours, I wasn't going to get rewarded for that, right? So I decided like the only way I'm going to be rewarded for putting in extra effort is to start working in the startup space, the entrepreneurial space, work with smaller brands, start my own brand, start my own company. That way, if I'm passionate about something and I want to work 100 hours a week and get only 4 hours of sleep a night, like I'll do it because that's my thing. I own it and I reap the rewards from it. And like no one's like, taking a percentage off the top because I'm working for them. So now, like I think it's interesting now because with social media and everything, it's kind of easier to build a brand and to start a company. There's a lot more, like it's a lot easier to find people who like the same things you do, connect in that space, and build a business around it. So I think you guys are very fortunate in that sense. But also the flip side is there's a lot of competition now. Like it's like everyone's kind of, when there's a good idea, a lot of people start doing the same thing at the same time. And so it's funny that like you still got to be even though you set your own schedule as working in a startup and running your own business, like you still got to be very disciplined. You got to be very like determined. Like the 4 Ds from Certified. I always think about that. Like that's like a guiding principle for me for running my own business because you can't just like want it. You can't just have desire, right? Like you really got to be disciplined. I mean, I wake up at 6 a.m. every day and I work until like 11, 12 at night. And it's because if I don't do it, nobody will. And the company is on my shoulders and nobody else's. But that's what I wanted, man. Like that's all I wanted. It's like, sometimes I know you guys have felt in your situations, but I saw a few of your games in person and coming back to Certified and seeing you guys play. And, there's some games where you just got to put the entire team on your back, right? And there's some games when, like you don't have to, like it's a total team effort, and it's weird because when you run your own business, it feels like every day you got to kind of put it all on your back. And you got to have that mentality, like I want that responsibility, right? And then if you do and you embrace that, like it doesn't feel like work. That's the thing. Like I'll pound out 12, 14-hour work days and it doesn't feel like work. Hanging out with you guys today, seeing all this in this environment takes me back to high school. It doesn't even feel like work. I know I'm working, I know I'm adding value to my company, but at the same time, it's like, man, like you do something you love, it doesn't feel like work.
So what made you get into this the company, Oaza?
So it's actually my friends from grad school. I went to grad school in New York City, and the CEO, founder of this company, is a classmate of mine and a friend from New York. And so a lot of the startups that I've worked with have actually been, I've gotten connected to them through a personal relationship, like either my friends or my family. And so I think that's one thing to emphasize, at least for me on a personal level, is that a lot of the business opportunities that are going to rise in your life, in your future, are going to be through friends and family. And so you want to keep that network very strong, even if you have people in your circle who you never have done business with, or like you don't think of them as a business person. Like, you'll be surprised at how many times, like later in life, 5 years, 10 years down the road, someone in your circle has this opportunity now, and they want you to be a part of it because you have a certain set of skills. And likewise, you want to start your own business, you'll have that family there for you, and someone's good at accounting, someone's good at marketing creative, someone's good at digital. And like you get that, you keep your family like around and supporting you, and you're there for them in a non-professional setting, you'll find that these opportunities open up. And it's happened for me a lot, like over the course of the year. Even like some of my Servite brothers I work with, like our products are in a couple stores here in Orange County that my friend, his family, the Rubalcaba family, they own those stores, right? And it's like, they were the first ones to take a chance on us here in Orange County, right? And like, when you really need your friends and your families and the Servite Brotherhood, you go to them, you lean on them, and like they'll be there for you, right? And I think that's an important thing for you guys, like the athletes here at this retreat, to know is like, like, your brand is not built just by you. Your brand is built by the people around you, the family, the company you keep. And I know it's really, with our culture, with the Islander cultures, you really understand that early on, right? We have big crews we roll with, but everybody plays a role, and that family supports you and your brand. So, you had a bit of, it feels good when you make it because you have everybody else with you, but like, you wouldn't make it if it wasn't for that community. So you got to keep investing in that community and make them a part of your brand building experience.
I mean, one thing they always preach when you go to Servite is the brotherhood and then building connections for the long run. So you actually live by that.
Yeah, man, absolutely. And it's, as I get older, I realize like it's not just Servite. I think a lot of people have this experience outside from Servite, but for the Servite thing, I think it's maybe because it was just like all boys school, or like this community. I feel like a lot of my friends have bought into that a little bit more, right? And like, they're very generous with their time. Even, I'm 25 years graduated. Congratulations on graduating, by the way, gentlemen. 25 years out, and I just saw my Servite friends like a week ago, right? And we hung out, and like we get together and we ask how we can help each other on a personal and professional level, and like it's like great to have that. I think that as you'll see as your Servite brothers start getting older, they start becoming more successful, right? And things that have nothing to do with sports or whatever it is they were in high school, they just become successful businessmen, successful dads, successful family men. And if you stay in touch with them, they'll like, you'll reap the benefits of that too. And like, they'll be there for you, whatever happens in life, and it'll help you with the ups and downs that you'll inevitably experience.
That's tight. So you stay in touch with them for the last 25 years now.
Yeah, for sure. We do a Christmas party every year where we get together and we do a gift exchange, and we screw around, tell old jokes from high school and BS, and we go to each other's kids' birthday parties and stuff like that. So it's something that, but again, I look at it like it's an investment. Like, those guys have been there for me in my lowest times getting here, and like, like a lot of what you see with brand building and like and building businesses, you only see the highlights, right? And like, you only see the success part. And like, a lot of people don't understand like how much work it has to go, and just to get to this level where you have the opportunity to work with NIL and with athletes such as yourself. There's so much that could go by the wayside, and when that happens, those guys have been there for me, right? Like, to help pick me up and to help me out when I had nothing. So it's something I always think about, like investing in your family, your friends, and your day ones.
Yeah, I mean, like a lot of the athletes in the Complete Athlete family, we Servite graduates. So just speak on that experience. Like, how was your Servite experience?
No, I was good. It was, it was amazing. Like, it would have been better if we beat Mater Dei, but again, we like. Other than that, I think it was a great time. Like, I think that the Servite experience is unique from other high schools because there is like this camaraderie that builds up, right? This like, you really get to know people while you're there in high school. I think, part of it again is the all boys community where you're not really fronting, right? You're not really like putting on airs, being someone you're not, right? Like you're being who you are at an early age, and people are seeing that, and people like that genuineness and authenticity, right? Like, so I think it was definitely a different experience from going to like a co-ed high school that I went to my freshman year, where guys are always worried about girls and what are they thinking, right? And like worried about people who aren't in their close circle. So I think that there's that aspect of it that really helped out a lot. But I think the point is, with any high school experience, it doesn't matter if you went to Survey or anything, like there are going to be 2 or 3 close friends that you had, and you want to kind of hold on to those and invest in those. And I think that's what's really cool about this podcast, man. You guys investing in each other and still making time to do stuff away from football, where you guys are, like creating and maintaining that bond. Because, I guarantee you guys are going to have your ups and downs. You're going to be there for each other at the darkest times, right?
Gotcha. No, but going back to the business, you talked about how the idea and the startup was fairly recent. What makes you confident that this business can grow and can be successful?
Yeah, man. I mean, I guess you got to approach everything with confidence, like in the startup space. Like, the reality of it is 9 out of 10 startups fail. This is my 8th startup. 6 of them have failed, right? Like, and at the time I got on board with all these startups, they were great ideas, right? But the reasons that early stage companies fail, like it could be a bunch of different reasons, but you can have a great product, you can have a great audience, and if you have mediocre distribution, or you can't get your pricing right, you can't get the cost of your goods down to a price that's reasonable, like you can fail in that respect. And it had nothing to do with like how skilled a businessman you were or how much money you had backing you. Like, failure is always a possibility. It's just like on the football field. Like, doesn't matter how prepared you are, and especially in college football, like on any given day you could lose, right? And like that's how it is with startups. Like, it's risk reward. I'm confident this is going to work out because the people that I'm working with are really good, and I think that's one of the lessons when you have when you're building up your brand, and you're trying to build a business around your identity. Invest in good people. Like, good ideas come and go, and good ideas, just because you have a good idea doesn't mean it's going to be successful business-wise. Like, so many things could cause that good idea to go in a bunch of different directions where it fails. So always invest in good people, and good people will keep bringing you good ideas. So even if one of those good ideas doesn't work out, there's like 3 or 4 other ideas that are in queue, and eventually one of those is going to hit. So
how is business going right now?
So it's going pretty good. We actually just we're having a pretty good couple months. Like the pandemic really slowed us down, just like any other food and beverage brand. The pandemic, it was tough, but I think we're back on track right now. We just closed a deal with Wegmans, which is a 100-store chain on the East Coast that stretches from Buffalo down to North Carolina. That was one of our first big wins. So we're in about 400 stores on the East Coast in New York City, which is our home market. We're in another 100 nationwide. We're about 50 in California. So we're just growing steadily right now. That's I think NIL is going to be a huge part of that growth, getting into more communities in these cities all over the U.S., because we're about to do national expansion. And I think the best way to do it is to get people in Arizona, get people in New York, get people in Texas, and that starts with like investing in the NIL program. So just happy to kind of be here and be working with you guys. So.
We appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, for sure.
So y'all tune in. Y'all go check out Oaza Cold Brew. Y'all in Tucson, Arizona, also in California, and all around the nation. But we appreciate you coming on.
Absolutely. Thanks, gentlemen.
Thank you.
For this next segment, Hydro Keys, because it's Keys Take.
We got Key back on that episode for some more reviews of some restaurants in Tucson. But first, we want to thank you guys for watching the last episode and dropping those Mexican restaurants in the comments. If y'all got any more Mexican restaurants for us to try out, go ahead and drop it in the comments. We'll be back in Tucson in June, so we'll be able to check those out. But for this episode, Key, what you got for us this week?
Like you said, thank you for those comments, because I'm sure I'm going to be back to those Mexican restaurants as soon as I get back in Tucson. But for this week, I got 2 restaurants for y'all. I was able to see one restaurant I go to casually. So it's on University, right? It's called Kebabecue, like kebab and barbecue in one word. So it's an Indian spot. I'm able to dig into my Indian heritage a little bit. For those of you that don't know, I'm Indian. My grandfather is from Pune. So this spot, I wasn't expecting much my first time I went because I grew up eating Indian food here a lot. But I went and I was really surprised. Have you heard of tandoori chicken? Like the red chicken?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, tandoori. It's like,
Did you brought that to school?
Indian food. Yeah.
Yeah,
I used to eat it a lot. And through high school, my mom would pack it up in lunch, but it's fire. And I was really surprised. It's shocking to be honest, because this tandoori chicken was fire. So I was able to get that. So Barbecue is on University, so it's on campus. Go check that out.
It's like with Chipotle and all that stuff.
It's right. It's a little farther, but yeah, it's right there.
They got pita bread over there.
Fire. It's called naan. Yeah.
Oh,
It's like it's the same thing.
Yeah.
It's like garlic though. They make it good over there. And then so I got one more spot too. This spot's called First Watch. There's a few locations all over Tucson. This one's in South Tucson. I went with my family, but yeah, First Watch. I went because I had seen online they had this thing called it $1 million bacon, and it's supposed to be like a special their own kind of twist on bacon. So I went, I tried it, and I gotta say I was shocked. Like it was sweet, and it was I don't eat that kind of stuff a lot, but I did. It was like this bacon was just different. It's like a breakfast cafe kind of spot, but it was really good. I got that, and I got a sandwich, and it was all fire. My family enjoyed it. So it was real good.
How far is that from our spot?
From the campus?
Yeah.
Like probably like 10 minutes. It's
A drive?
Yeah.
And then you say it's a breakfast spot? They got
It's
like
like a
pancakes?
breakfast cafe. Yeah, they got all that. They got everything.
Wait, so that $1 million bacon, like, is it just, like, what is it? Like, is it one bacon? Like, you
It's
say
bacon.
It's like their own.
It's baked. It was like a plate of like 4 or 5 pieces of bacon, but
And
it was
like
like
different flavors?
different.
Like
No.
Oh.
Like it tasted like it was $1 million bacon. Like I'm not explaining it, but no, it was real good. Y'all gotta try it. That's what I'm telling you. Go
It lived
try
up to the
I'll
hype?
go with you. Yeah, I lived up to the hype for sure.
Like, you can't explain the taste, like, at all.
I
The,
said
like
it was
maple?
sweet, sour, and it was
Sour?
$1 million in my mouth.
Oh.
Yeah, that's what it was.
How you know what that tastes like?
Oh, okay. Nah,
No, like, how you know what $1 million
This guy, bro. This
guy a clown, bro, I swear,
All
bro.
right, look, I'm gonna take it. Next time we get back to
sure.
Tucson, we're gonna go together.
I'm there for sure.
But yeah, that's what I got for y'all.
And
this
then
week.
what's the next one? I mean, what's the one you said?
First
before?
watch.
First watch, and what's the other one?
Barbecue.
Kebab. So
On
you said that's
University.
Indian food?
Yeah,
So
that's fire too.
fire?
Yeah,
Like you say your mom make that.
yeah. Well,
Or like can make that
I know
kind
all
of
the
food.
spots around here because I grew up eating that, but this spot, yeah, it was real good. So, no, I be bringing back this beer all the time.
No, not for me.
Just for me. Enjoy.
Nah, next time, bro. You can take us, bro.
For sure.
First watch and Kebab.
Yeah. So yeah, that's all I got for y'all this week.
So y'all tap into those 2 spots, Barbecue and
First
First
Watch.
Watch. And then if y'all got any more recommendations, drop them below, and we'll be sure to check out those restaurants and the Mexican restaurants y'all suggested. So appreciate it. That wraps up for the episode. Another big thank you to Alvie Loreto and Oaza Cold Brew for sponsoring this. And appreciate y'all tuning in to Island Time in the Desert. It's Noah.
It's TMAC.
Malo.
Shoot.